Gentlemen, this is Luke from Guild Umbra. In this video, we're going to be touching base with a slightly different build from our last build with the DPS Stalker and Wildstar. Now, since I didn't get a chance in my last video to talk about what the abilities and too much about why I didn't choose certain abilities, I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to do so. So, the abilities that I didn't cover were things like Ruin, Cripple, Phlebotomize, Clone, and Concussive Kicks. Now, the first one, which I did choose in this ability, is called Ruin. It is basically a dot. That's instant cast. It's a circular telegraph around the Stalker. And it does technology damage, 1 second for 10 seconds to 5 foes. So it's a dot. It does pretty decent damage. I wouldn't say it's blow your mind like burst damage like the Impale does. Cripple. It costs 5 suit power. There's 3 charges. Deals damage and applies a snare to 5 foes. So, it could be used, I could see in some PvE circumstances where maybe you need to kite or an enemy or because your tank's dead or what have you, but whatever the situation may be, that's what it does. Phlebotomize is a bit more PvP oriented, okay? You got those healers in PvP that are healing the crap out of everybody, and you want to stop some of that healing. Well, this is the ability for you then. It costs suit power, 15 suit power. It's instant. It has a very long telegraph on it. It's narrow, but it's long. Its range is 20 meters. But basically, it reduces incoming healing by 50%. So, it's PvP oriented, more towards that than PvE. In my opinion, there's very few bosses that heal themselves. And if they're healing themselves, chances are your group's not doing their job by doing interrupts. Okay? So, I wouldn't choose this in PvE. Clone. It creates a clone of you, and it deals physical damage 3 times every 1.25 seconds, up to 5 seconds to a single foe. You guys can read that tooltip a little bit, but if you can't, if an enemy unit is out of range, the clone pounces on the target, applying a 35% snare for 3 seconds. Additionally, the clone will attempt to knock down NPCs using abilities. Now, this is a cool looking ability, I'm not going to lie. But, there are several other abilities that do better damage. And, being that you have to spend a lot of amps to get to this ability, I, in my opinion, wouldn't use it. It costs suit power at that too. And any chance that you have to not have ability on your bar that consumes suit power is a good thing in PvP and PvE. So anyway, that's why I didn't take that clone ability. In my opinion, it sucks. It needs to be redone. But I'm not the designer. The next one is Concussive Kicks. Deals physical damage twice to 5 foes. Now, I could see where this ability could be used, but again, it consumes suit power, and the damage it does is, greater than shred. And I've seen some people in the forums say, well, you can take shred off and just use concussive kicks. But, to put that on top of other abilities that cost a lot of suit power to use, um, I wouldn't be going with it. That's just my opinion, and that's my playstyle. If you want to go with it, that's fine. I won't argue with you about it, you know. But in this build, we're going to run Shred. Does physical damage 3 times to 5 foes. Does Impale is the next ability. I've kind of talked about this in my last build, so I won't go too much into it. Basically, it's a single target attack. Costs suit power. This is your main DPS ability that you'll be using as the DPS Stalker. Ruin, I just talked about. Neutralize, in my last video I talked a little bit about. It's a AoE ability where, like, if you're running up against some multiple mobs, at least 5, at least 3 or more, in my opinion, it's worth using. Because your Impale only hits 1 target, and this one hits up to 5. And does some pretty good damage. Now, yes, it does add, every time you use it, you have to be kind of careful using it too much. It costs more suit power as you use it. But, it's something in our arsenal that we can use for those AoE mobs to get that AoE damage out. And, for me, what I would typically be doing is popping in 1 neutralize and maybe shredding. I wouldn't be using Impale or, even, honestly, even Ruin is not really an ability I would use because 10 seconds is a long damn time. Now in dungeons, yeah, but in leveling or something like that, I wouldn't even bother using Ruin. I would be using like neutralize and then shredding them to death. But in groups, it wouldn't be a bad idea to pop your Ruin, maybe throw a shred as a filler, and then do 1 neutralize and then go back to shred. And then after a couple seconds, maybe go back to neutralize again. But you also have Punish in this ability. Punish hits up to 5 targets and regenerates 30 suit power. It's not as big of an AoE as Neutralize, but like I talked in my last video, I don't know if this is working as intended, but there's a lot of forum posts about this on WildStar forums about it still generates 30 suit power even if you don't hit the targets. So it's on proc ability. When after landing a critical hit, you can use this ability, and it's 8-second cooldown. Utility, I went with Stagger. It's the most reliable CCD for the Stalker. The Preparation, again, I talked about it in my last video. It's a channeled ability that can be stopped by either rolling or canceling the ability. But it increases your critical chance by 3%, stacks up to 7 times, so 7 times 3 is 21% crit chance. Not bad for a DPS Stalker, so I take it. Collapse. I talked about this before, but after my last video, I started thinking, I was like, you know what, this is a pretty damn cool ability. And yeah, I've read around a lot, did a lot of research, and it seems like a lot of people are using this in PvE dungeons. My worry is that, if the tank wants to move all 3 mobs, if you have like a tier 8 on this, or a tier 4, it roots them. So that's why I don't go tier this thing up too much, not at all in this case. Tier abilities, I won't talk too much about them because I did in my last video, in my last build. So, but I went tier 8 are basically the same, I went tier 8 Shred, tier 8 Impale, and tier 8 Punish. In my opinion, if you're gonna run Punish on your bar, or your limited action set, you should take tier 8 because, like I stated in my last video, that's 50 suit power. That's 50% of your total amount of suit power you have anyway. So why not? You know, um, and that's if you use it below 35 suit power. Okay, um, but you're always going to be able to generate 30 suit power just by using this ability. But I was just throwing that out there. Anyway, moving on. The amps I kept basically the same. Um, because like I was saying in my last video, I was having a hard time um, finding places to put amps in other places, if that makes sense. But for those who've never seen this before, amps are static stat increases. Things like regeneration or strike through, life steal, critical hit severity, critical hit chance. Um, and they are also like temporary buffs you receive as a result of doing certain things. Like certain abilities will proc certain amps. And then in these assault, support, and utility tier 3s, um, you're granted the opportunity to unlock abilities, extra ones, to put on your bar. Um, Also, a little more FYI is that from level 6 straight out of the starter zone to level 50, you get up to 45 amps. Um, and you get one each level. Um, but in order to finish out this build like I have here in Wildstar Base, or WS Base rather, um, you have to get something called Elder Gems. Elder Gems are gotten, or they're you get them if I can talk. You get them from daily quests. Once you hit 50, what do? Well, you daily quest, and you earn something called Elder Points. Well, over time, either by completing quest or filling out the Elder Points, you get one Elder Gem. And you use these Elder Gems to buy the remaining 10 Amp Points in order to get 55. Okay, so that's just to avoid confusion. For those of us who have played the game and seen, well, why the hell is there 55 amps on this builder and there's 45 in game? Oh, that's why. So anyway, I won't talk too much about the amps at all because I went through them pretty damn thorough in my last video. But again, I'll talk a little bit about the Stalker and where it stands real quick. You know, it, I've watched a lot of streaming, Eugenic, several Subterfuge, other raiding guilds. The Stalker seems to be, when you implement the abilities properly, the highest DPS right now. Single target, that is. So, a lot of people are, rolling Stalkers as the flavor of the month class. Um, Let me tell you a little bit about my experiences with the Stalker. And that is, if you're good at managing things, managing your suit power, um, positioning yourself properly, knowing which abilities to use at certain times. Again, that follows in the micromanaging. But if you're good at those kind of things and you love doing that kind of stuff, the Stalker might be for you. If you love doing burst damage and watching things explode, who doesn't like that? Then the Stalker might be for you. Um, it's up to you. You decide for yourself. I'm having a lot of fun with this game. I've rolled just about every class, at least a level, I'd say, dungeon level, which is your first dungeon is 20, if not beyond. And I'm having a hard time picking a class that I love. And it's part of the reason why I did these videos in the first place. If I can give me a couple minutes. I started with the medic. The medic was my first 50. The Esper, I got up to, I think, like 37. And then the next class, highest class I did, was the Stalker. So, it's kind of my thought process with the Stalker at this point. Again, these are probably due to change, and let me tell you this again, that WildStar is one of those games that allows you to go with a lot of different builds. Okay, now I will say this with the Stalker, that it seems, or at least appears at this point, that you're kind of you have to take certain ones in order to be, viable as a DPS. But there's variations of that. You know, um, some may ask, well, why didn't you take Analyze Weakness? Well, on top of all the assault power class, or excuse me, the suit power that I'm using anyway, doing impales and doing ruin and doing neutralize, that's a lot of suit power that I'm using up. And yes, it does regen over time, but if I'm throwing another suit power ability into the mix, yeah, it does more damage, but how many more impales can I get off if I don't have this ability? So, anyway, that's where I was going with this build. If you like what you saw, please hit that like button on YouTube. If you're following me on Twitch, I think my Twitch username is BigDogLB. Don't ask. Please follow me so we can get some more videos out there, or you guys will get notifications of when I'm making more videos. I plan to go through all the classes at some point. I think open beta is starting up soon. I won't talk about it too much. But I'm super stoked about this game, and I'm having a blast playing it. I love my guild Umbra, and I look forward to when this game comes live. We have early access, which is the 31st of May. It's a Saturday. The game doesn't actually go live until the 6th, I think. No, the 3rd. I don't know. I have to look again. But if you pre-order, you can get early access on the 31st. So, anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Tune in next time. We will go into the tanking side of the Stalker builds and stat priorities. Take care.